Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Technically Something, the show where we talk about technology, creativity, tutorials, and gaming. I'm your host, Kevin Allen, and today we are going to be talking about an intro to HTML. If you have never coded anything in your life, this is a perfect place to start. HTML is a language called Hypertext Markup Language, and basically what that means is that it is a language that computers use to generate certain things, whether that's just text, tables, images, or other things that you could use on a website. HTML is more or less used for web development. These days, it's really easy to make a website because you can just visit Wix or Weebly or Square or any of these other sites that generate websites. And those are generally called CMS websites or content management system websites. It's basically a drag and drop method of creating websites. There's nothing wrong with using this method. And in fact, a lot of the websites that I make nowadays, if I need it to be snappy, I do that. However, if you want to learn how to code yourself so that you have the almighty power of code, then HTML is a great place to start. We're also going to be learning how to tie in CSS, which is a cascading style sheet. And this is how we're going to bring some life into our website and stylize it with color, borders, all sorts of other stuff that you will see soon. In this tutorial, we are going to go over everything you need to get started. First, we're going to learn how to manage our files and create a website folder system. Next, we're going to create an HTML document. Then we're going to create a CSS document. Next, we're going to get an images folder and fill it with just a few images that will be tying into the website that we create. After that, when we get started, we're going to be creating a daily schedule. This could be applied to school, your day, however you want to format it. For the purposes of this tutorial, my plan is to set it up like the periods of classes throughout the day at a school. That way you can add descriptions for the class, you can add an image, and you can add a list of things that you need for each class. Kind of like a quick way to organize it. After we've had the words put in, we're also going to add images and link those to external websites so that I can teach you how to create links. We'll also be adding in ordered and unordered lists so that you can see the differences on how to add those. Finally, we're going to be adding tables so that we can organize everything. Let's jump straight into it and make our very first website. I will see you in just 1 second. Let's build our first website! Woo! Alright guys, so as you can see, I has a desktop. And where we're going to start first is that you will need a text editor. The reason text editors exist is to make your life a lot easier. One free solution is brackets.io. The logo will have this appearance. It is 2 brackets. It's genius. By the time you see this video, the version may be different. Heck, brackets may not even exist. In which case, there are other text editors out there. You can do a quick search on it, and with just a couple minutes of research, you can find the best text editor for you. So I'm going to download brackets. I'm going to choose to send it to my desktop because I'm just going to install it. And we wait forever. And ever. And ever. I need to find the cord for my mouse. This thing's losing juice. And done. Okay, so once this is done, let's just click it and open it. Preparing to install, this is good. You can choose a specific location. I'm just gonna go to my program files in my C drive. And this should only take a moment. Takes longer to download than it does to install. In my case, anyway. Oh, I spoke too soon. All right, when it's finished, click Finish. And we are ready to go. So I'm going to close out my web browser. Now I'm going to search brackets over here. Click on the app. All right, when this opens up, if you want to come back to it later much quicker than that, right click and pin to taskbar. That way it's right there when you need it next time. If you look over here, they have some pre-made HTML and CSS. These are the two different languages that we are going to be going over mainly. All right, so first thing I'm going to do now is hit Control N, and that'll make a new file. You can tell because it'll say Untitled followed by a number over here. So first thing that we need to do is save this as a file type. So I'm going to hit Control Shift S, and that brings us to our save screen. And you have to choose a place to save your website. So if I go to my desktop, before I even save this file, I'm going to create a new folder. This new folder, I'll just call my daily schedule. Open this folder, and now we can name our HTML file. There is a reason for this, but anytime you have a main page or a home page for your website and it's your HTML document, you should name it index.html. And actually calling it .html is very important. Make sure you type it all lowercase, save it this way. Now we're set up and we can start typing our HTML. First thing that I'm going to do is set the doc type to HTML. Next, I'll type out HTML. And within, you'll notice that I hit enter to send HTML down. Because we're going to be wrapping the entire site inside of tags, and HTML has to open and close. So whenever you're closing a tag, this is what that looks like. The open portion is just HTML, and when you close it, you put a slash before HTML. And this is why having a text editor is so nice, because it will complete some of those for you, but you shouldn't necessarily be lazy and know when to check if it's wrong. The next tag that we will open and close is going to be head. Next, we will do body. And the body is where all elements that show on the website are going to be. So anything that loads up that people can see, read, interact with, and look at is going to be in the body. There are a few elements in the head that show up, but it's mainly just the title, which, oddly enough, is our next tag. So I will call in the head a title tag. And in that title, I will just call it the same thing, my daily schedule. There. All right, so if I save this right now, so Control S, and then go to my folder and go where I have it saved. Remember, I saved it to my desktop. So in the folder, my daily schedule, I have my index.html. And right now, since I prefer to use Chrome, it's showing up as a Chrome file. So if I just double click this, may ask, yes, I want to open it with Chrome. And here we don't really see much. The only thing that we have done is actually create a title. So if you look in the upper left-hand corner, it's called My Daily Schedule. Not much, but it's a start. And if you want to switch between what you're working on very fast, you can do Alt-Tab. So hold Alt and click Tab, and then you can choose what thing you want to go to. I'm going to go back to brackets. So the next thing that I'm going to do is create stuff for the body, stuff that we can see. And I want to do all of the class periods throughout the day. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to show you how we can create an ordered and an unordered list. It looks like this. We're going to give a main title at the very top, and you can do this by making a heading tag or a header tag, which is just going to be H1. And think of H1 as the largest. The higher the number goes, the smaller the text will get, and I'll show you in just a minute. So copy and paste my daily schedule. I'll just, for good measure, Kevin Allen. All right, so I'm going to save this. just hit Control S, and now I'm going to Alt Tab, back to Chrome. And since we already have it open and it's pulling from the same place, I can just refresh the page. Voila, we have a title. So, My Daily Schedule - Kevin Allen, and it's really large. So to give you an example of what different H tags will do, I'm going to say My Daily Schedule, and then go down a line and say H3 Kevin Allen, and save it. Go back and refresh. So you can see that H1 is larger than H3. So think of it as like a priority 1 header. It takes the most importance, it's large. And we'll get to styling later. You can do all sorts of stuff. This is just starting out. So now we're going to get into creating the ordered and unordered list. And the way that you are going to set this up is by creating an ordered list tag. And inside this list, I'm going to create list items, which is LI. And the first list item will be graphic design 2. And always remember to tab over. Anytime you create an element within an element, it should be tabbed over 1 space. So when I create the next element, it's going to be a list item again. This one will be graphic design level 1, and so on. All right. So if you look at the tags here, we have an ordered list, and within the ordered list, we have all of our list items. And this is just all of the different classes that I have throughout the day. And each of them are their own items. So when I save this, let's go and take a look at what this looks like in Chrome. You see how it created numbers for me? If I go back to the code, all it says is LI, LI, all the way down. But it knows that these are list items in an ordered list. Order being 1 through however many. Now, what's really cool is that we have all the periods of the day, but what if I have certain things that I need to take to class or things I need to remember for that class? Then you can create a bulleted list, which is an unordered list. So underneath each class, I'm just going to create a UL, and inside that UL, tab over 1, because this is now inside the UL, I'm going to create list items. And this time it'll be, let's just do a couple things. Let's say computer, sketchbook, and headphones. So I'm going to save it, Control S, Alt Tab over to Chrome, and refresh. And now you see that I have an unordered list inside of, or not inside, but following graphic design 2. Okay? So I'm going to do that again for every single one. And if you've already typed it out, you can just copy and paste. So copy, Control C, go underneath graphic design 2, and paste. So you can add as many varied lists as you would like to each of these ordered list items. Okay, now we have all of the day separated, but it's kind of hard to read. They're all meshed together. So what I can do is wrap each of these LI, these list items, let's just say H3. And when I do this to the rest, it'll start to look like this. It has a little bit more order. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest right now. Okay, so just saved it. Let's go back and see what it looks like in Chrome. All right, this is shaping up. We're getting a little bit of a difference here. The next thing that I want to do is maybe add some images to this. I'm going to add an image that comes just before my unordered list. The tag for your image is going to be IMG for image, and then SRC for image source. Okay, now I don't currently have any images, so if you want, I'm just gonna go to Unsplash and find some images for each class. Perfect, this one looks good. So I'm going to save image. And this is so important. You have got to make sure that you save your files in the correct place. So we're going to go to My Daily Schedule, the folder that I made for this. That's our website. And in here, I'm going to create a new folder and call it Images, all lowercase. When I go in there, be sure to rename your image something really simple. So we'll just call this one GD1. I'm going to click Save. That's one down. All right, so after I've saved all of that, if we go back and look, I should have in my daily schedule folder, I have an images folder, all lowercase, and then I have all of my other files. So once these files are saved, what's really nice is that I can go back into the text editor, and now I can type my image source. Inside the quotes, I'm going to say images slash, and as soon as I hit that slash, it automatically knows that I'm looking for an image from a folder that is neighboring where our HTML document is. In this case, the folder is called images. So it knows and sees all of these different file names in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and click GD2 and save. So when I go back to Chrome and refresh, now we have that big ol' image inside, and it's really big, but we're gonna style that in just a minute. I'm just gonna add image source tags to the rest of these. So I've gone in and added image source tags to every single one of my daily schedule portions of the day. If I save this and go to Chrome and refresh, now we see I have an image for every single period of the day, but they are gigantic. They're huge. So what we're going to do is style them. This is where we create our next new file, and that's going to be a CSS file. So I'm going to hit Control N. Now we have a blank document. Control Shift S to save as, and I'm just going to call this style.css and save. Now we have a CSS document, and I want to tell all of my image tags, so img, that I want their width to be, let's say, 200 pixels. See what that looks like. And by the way, this will be the basic structure for all CSS styling that you do. It's a little bit different than HTML. First, you start off with the tag that you want to change or style, followed by curly brackets, and then you're going to have the attribute that you want to change. In this case, I want to change width of the image tag to 200 pixels, and then save. Now I'm going to apply this to every single image in my index.html file. So when I go back to my HTML file, I need to link the CSS and the HTML together. It's kind of like how the images folder and the HTML are neighbors, so the code automatically knew when I typed in images that it was trying to look for a file in that folder. However, in the head tag, we need to specify that we are trying to link to our CSS style sheet. When you type this out, you should have link href equals style.css. So now it knows it's looking for a file called style.css. We're telling it that it is a style sheet, and the type is a text/CSS style sheet. So now our file, our HTML file, knows that the linked file is styling it. So we can save. And if I go back now, because remember on the style sheet I said image basically is all images are going to be a width of 20 pixels. So each and every single image tag should be affected by this. Let's save and go check our preview. Refresh. Voila. So now every single class has an image that is 200 pixels wide, and we did it like that because we used a style sheet. And the reason it's called a cascading style sheet is because you do it once here and it cascades through every single tag in your HTML. Easy peasy. Nice. Okay, so now we have a little bit of style going into our website. It's kind of coming together. Now I want to show you how we could wrap a tag to become a link. And in this case, I'm going to wrap my image tags. Essentially what I'm going to do is wrap this image tag in an A tag. So I will do A, and then there's going to be an href, and we'll leave that blank for now. Okay, but I need to close that end, and this closing A, I'm going to hit Control X and cut it, and I'm going to put it on the other end of the image. Now remember that the image is now in the A tag, so I'm going to scoot that over one button press. The other thing to consider here, whenever you're creating an image tag, it's best practice to create an alt tag. And this is where you will describe the image. This is for screen readers or anybody who may be blind, or if the image doesn't necessarily work, if it doesn't load correctly, it will put a word there instead. It's just a nice backup. Now, in terms of what I want to link to, it could be anything. Since it's level 2, I will go to wacom.com. I can copy this link at the very top, so I'm going to highlight it and hit Control C, go back to my code, and in the ahref equals, I'm going to plug this in there, so Control V to paste it. And now, if I save and go back to my website, when I click on this image, it takes me to the Wacom website. Easy as that. That's how links work. It is kind of annoying how it opens up and doesn't create a new tab, right? So you can also tell it inside the ahref target equals blank and save that. So if we go back and click on this link again after I refresh it, it opens up a new tab instead of getting rid of the old one. All right, I didn't, just for the sake of time, I didn't go through and changed the link for every individual course. The idea is there, but this is now what everything is starting to look like. So we have images that link to different sites in theory. On yours, you could change it to where it is linked to different individual sites, or you could even wrap an A tag around the title, like where it says LIH3 Intro to Programming here. I could wrap an ahref tag, closing A tag around that, and make the link actually go to a Google Classroom, or if you have an online class anywhere, you could put the same link there and then just click it. Here's what our site currently looks like. It's organized, we have images, we have lists and stuff, but if I want to further organize this, I can create some tables for it. This is when you start getting into organizing each and every single section and really drilling down into how your tags are organized. And it can be a little bit confusing, so that's why it's valuable to at least practice this if you are starting out. Before I do this, I'm going to take one moment, just because it's not impossible to have an ordered list going throughout different tables, but it does create some issues. So I'm going to skip it for now. I'm going to get rid of the ordered list. And once that's gone, if I save and check my website again, it took out all of the numbers. We can always add those in ourselves if we want. And I'm going to, just to keep it organized. So when we're creating a table, just like when we had all of our list items in the ordered list, wrapping every single class period, this table is going to be doing the same thing. So now our entire day is wrapped up in one table. And that doesn't mean much, because if I save it and go over to my website and refresh, nothing happened, or so it appears. So what I'm going to do is go to style, or style.css file, remember that. And now I'm going to style the table. Let's try red. After I have the table tag, what's going to come next is a table row. Just like we had to have list items inside of an ordered list, every element that's about to come up needs to be inside of a row first. So I'm going to create a TR, or table row, take that closing piece, and I want the first row, just to be on the name of my class. I'm actually going to separate the first portion here, and I'm going to call one part period 1. And we'll close that with an H3, and then open another H3. Okay, so now both of these are here. So when you're creating the table headers, which will be in this first row, and I'll show you what this looks like in a sec, I'm going to, outside of each of these tags, wrap them in a TH tag. And make sure to close that TH on the outside. And I'll do the same thing right here. TH, and send the closing TH on the outside. So we have our first row and 2 headers. Let me show you what this looks like. All right, what I had to do to quickly troubleshoot is open and close my table within the first period. Now I'm gonna get rid of this eventually. In the interest of showing you how this works, I had to fix this really quick. It's kind of an odd bug because it shouldn't have been doing that, but hey, that's coding. So I have the TR and the 2 THs right here. So we have 1 row and 2 headers next to each other. So the way that this looks, if I save it, Control S, go back here and refresh, is we have what appears to be just our table with a red outline. What's happening with those 2 THs, I'm going to style them. So I'll do the same thing here. TH, and I'm gonna basically copy that code. So border, and I'm gonna tell it, let's do 3 pixel solid blue. Save. Now when I refresh this, now you can see how it's separated out each portion. We have the red border that is our table, and then we have the blue borders that are the table headers. And I wanted to give them different borders so you could see how they all combine together. So let's add the next portion. Let's go back to my HTML, and I'm gonna make a new row underneath the one we just did. So TR, and let's move the closing tag to be just after our unordered list. And then I need to have now a new tag, not TH, but TD. And that stands for table data, and that can just be anything. And the difference between the two of them is that THs will show a bold or thick text, whereas TDs show text normally, and you can store images and everything else in there. And at least that's normally how you handle it because it's data, it's not a header. And now I'm going to do another TD, cut that, and then I'm going to paste it just before it closes on the row. Now I need to push all of this stuff over in the unordered list. Here's a little trick. You can highlight all of your text and then hit Control, right bracket, and that'll send everything over a few tabs. All right, so there's our first table. I'm gonna hit Control S, and before I even go and check this out, I'm gonna do styling for a TD tag, table data. This one, we'll do a border, and we'll make it 3 pixels solid green. So let's go look at what it looks like. There we go. Starting to get a little bit more structure with this. And if you don't want this white space hanging in between all of these, but you do want some separation between them, what you can do on your table tag inside of your CSS is go to border dash collapse, and then just enter collapse, semicolon, save. So let me go back and refresh. And this is what happens. It collapses all the borders between them. And so you can kind of see how it can get messy if you have different colored borders. So what I'm gonna do now is change the color here and make it all uniform. So I'll try and cadet blue again. Save. And let's just apply that to the TH and the TD as well, and save. And there we go. Starting to come together. It looks a little bit nicer. Now, on the other side of this, say you don't necessarily want all of it to be blank. Well, on the upper part of this, in your TH, you could also give it a background color of, in my case, cadet blue. I'll save it. And for the text that's inside, you can change the color of that. And this is where it's a little tricky, because you might think, oh, I need to do font color or something like that. You can actually just do color. And I'm going to select white. Nice and simple. And this will change the content inside of the table header to be white. Just kidding. The reason that didn't work is because I had styled my H3s and that was competing. So I'm going to actually get rid of the styling for H3. Let's see what happens. Save, go back, and there we go. Now it's styled. And that's pretty much all it takes to design a table. You can repeat this process to go through every single class period. And if I wanted to go into my index and inside of the TD just above my list here, I can also add a little description. Once you're done with that, you just save it, and let's go and check how that looks. And it'll automatically adjust the table for you. Now, if I wanted to apply this same thing to every single class, I could just copy this table, but instead, I think I'm gonna put this at the end, see if this works. Oh, there we go. Now it'll put the table at the very end because we actually completed this. So all of these other elements are just kind of floating. The HTML doesn't know what to do with this. So we actually have to go in and add tables to the rest of these. But as you go along through your index and add the same thing that you have here. So from here, oh, that's not what I wanted. I want a comment tag. From here, and remember, this is just a comment tag I'm using right now. To here, you could basically copy everything that we have set up structurally and apply it to the rest of these, and they will automatically line up the same way to every single one. Now, unfortunately, that's all the time I have for this video, so go ahead and see if you can't fill in the rest of these on your own. I'm gonna try to have this file, this HTML file, available for download through a Google Doc or something like that. So if you're wanting to try this based on the code I have, you can go ahead and follow a link in the description and it will have the file probably. But otherwise, I hope this video was very helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, make sure to leave comments down below and I will do my best to address them as we move forward. In the meantime, I hope you all take it easy and have a great rest of your day. See you guys later.